house and get a tattoo, which is kind of hard to see sometimes. But
and a nose ring.
Yeah. So we have Danny and Alan and a bunch of people here to represent Savioke. And so yeah, I'll just go on and just talk about kind of what we're up to. So if you haven't heard of what we've been doing, we're making service robots that do basically point-to-point deliveries from one person to another. So if you've got a small item that you want to send to somebody else and do it autonomously, you can do it through our robot. And he's designed, something we're really excited about is that he's able to autonomously navigate in pretty complex spaces. And so he's got 2 depth cameras up towards the head and a laser for localization and a suite of sonars. The Wayne sonars you got are pretty cool. And
they're cheap.
and one of the big design components is having the cargo space on top, so we can have delivery sent from one person to another. And so I'll just talk briefly about the design in a minute. First, I'll show you a little video that we had help with from Google Ventures, who was one of our investors. So do this. Hopefully it'll.
I think we're finally at that point. The time is right for robotics. I think we've hit the point where computers are cheap enough and sensors are cheap enough. And so now is the time when robots can come in the world and help people. I'm Steve Cousins. I'm the CEO of Savioke. Savioke makes robots for the service industry. We make robots that can move around by themselves in human spaces and help people out.
One of the huge things that's happened in the last several years is that mobile phones have significantly reduced the cost of computation and sensing in a whole bunch of different areas. And the robotics field has now been able to take advantage of that rapid drop in sensor prices. And so now that's enabling a world where robots can be aware of the presence of humans near them and exist safely in that environment.
How can we put robots in the world? The way we do that is by finding something that the robots can do that's more valuable than it would cost us to put them out there. So first use case is really simple. You're staying at a hotel and you need a toothbrush or a shaving kit, or you're hungry, and you call down to the front desk and you say, hello, can I have a toothbrush, for example? And the person at the front desk gets a toothbrush, puts it in the robot, types in the room number, and the robot goes off on its own to your room. And when it gets to your door, it calls your phone, you open the door, and when it sees the door open, it opens its lid and you get out whatever it is that you're getting delivered.
Robots are really complicated, and we're trying to bring them out into the world where they can interact with people. And what we want to make sure is that when people receive that delivery in a hotel, it's exactly what they expect, and moreover that they love interacting with our robot, because we want it to be a fun experience for them. Design is really the process of asking, what should those robots do and how should it do it, and what should they look like as they're performing those duties.
What basic shape is this robot going to take? Where are we going to put items when we're sending deliveries? And how tall should it be? We actually went through about 6 different prototypes over the last 9 months. And each step of the way, with everything that we generated from one prototype to the next, or one storyboard to the next, or one sketch to the next, we were gaining more knowledge about what we think the best answer is. We want it to be very friendly and approachable and not seem too big, especially like in cluttered hallways. The robot has a slender taper to reduce the visual volume. The base has a flaring towards the bottom to really make it seem planted and safe. There's even like a little arc just below the screen to make it feel happy.
Success for us is putting robots out in the world, getting robots into the hospitality industry, and then getting robots into adjacent industries, and basically making an impact and continuing to create robots that can help people.
So that's a brief intro of what we're all about. But I thought you guys might find it more interesting about how this was developed and how it was made. these are prototypes. We're finally getting into production, and in the next couple of months, we'll have a pretty cool announcement coming up. But for now, we've got these guys that we're really proud of, and this guy's all 3D printed, hand built, and we've got about 7 robots in our fleet right now, and a total of, as you saw, like about 150 miles traveled, which is pretty cool, considering that this stuff was what people like to say is a labor of love. The amount of time that goes into building one of these, as you guys know, it takes a long time. Yeah, so I'll show you some early prototypes. These were, when I first got to Savioke, we were working with the beloved Turtlebot, and here's the Kabuki bases that we all know and love. And so doing lots of foam core mock-ups and just strapping sensors on and seeing what could work from the perspective of getting the robot to safely navigate in spaces, but also to meet ergonomic needs for people to be able to interact with the robot. We really wanted to do 2 key things, which was to drive around safely and to make a user experience that was one that someone who had never seen the robot, like every time a guest opens the hotel door to their room when they're getting a delivery, that they know what to do, that they know how to use the robot. And that was a huge challenge. And so these were our humble beginnings. This is when John is in here somewhere. We were cranking away on it, making these little guys. And then we moved over to what we call the P5 prototype, which was all 3D printed. That's actually my guest room in my apartment. And 3D printing all these panels and mounting them onto laser cut MDF frames. And just to understand what we could do, to understand with as much speed and clarity and how we could get to the best possible answer, because we were bootstrapped at that point. We had no funding or no real funding, and so we were all putting in 110% at that point. And so this is what the P5 prototype looked like. It's basically just, as you saw, 3D printed panels that are mounted onto the MDF frame, and you can see there's a sensor configuration at the top and a Nexus 7. And on the very top is it's just this tinted plexi lid that has like drawer hinges on it, and so when you pop it open, it'll stay open. And there was a little bin in there, so that was really valuable for doing ergonomic studies to understand what was natural for people of all backgrounds, people who are tall, short, sitting, confined to wheelchairs, etc. And so we really worked hard to make sure that this was something that would benefit not just guests in hotels, because that's not what we're just about, but being able to make people more independent and maybe going into continuing care and healthcare and expanding basically wherever people need stuff sent from one person to another. This is what he looks like, all dressed up, and essentially we're following the same process with this guy, except we totally re-engineered the base to make it incredibly robust and able to deal with elevators, which is a pretty crazy topic. And also we have a fully automated lid that's back drivable and safe around people. So if it closes on your hand, it's not going to hurt. And if somebody manually moves it, it's not going to destroy anything. Because we're trying to prep for all the scary cases that come out there. The base has an active bumper as a last case measure in case something, somebody just steps right in front of it and doesn't have time to stop. Yeah, so that's the basics of that guy. And so, let's see, I'm trying to think. And actually, could you open up the top? And so the top, we spent a lot of time also designing the inside of the robot, and you can come by later on or whenever and check out what's going on. We wanted the robot not only to be really approachable and friendly and try to make it something that wouldn't startle somebody if they're coming around the corner and they see the robot. It's kind of pretty unassuming and kind of cute and dopey at the same time. And when the delivery's done, when the robot gets to the guest room, he's actually watching the guest room door. So what happens is he'll get to the door, call the room, But the really interesting thing is that he's also watching the door to open. That's our authentication to open up the lid. So when somebody opens the door, it sees that. And at that point, that's where the lid will open up, and he'll give a greeting and just walk the guest through the process of just grabbing stuff out. And at the end, there's a little five-star rating system, and you can rate the robot. And if you give him 5 stars, he'll do a little cute dance thing. And then he'll go and on his way and get going. Did you get Arviz up?
Do you want to show them? It's up to you.
Do you want to show it? Because you're the guy.
We'll go for it.
I think people might be interested in seeing it.
Let's show it. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, John's here. He's a co-founder, and he's
We could just point at that thing.
I can just yank this thing out and plug it in.
This is Windows. I don't know what that does.
Oh God.
There's an HDMI that's on the floor right now. You got that?
It'll work. Do you have an HDMI?
You got a big connector?
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to get on this thing, or is it just going to be like
It's just
totally
going to do
awesome?
something. Holy shit.
Hang on. There it goes.
Incredible. Here. Do you want the mic?
I don't know what people... This is a display of the point clouds that it's looking at right now. And if you guys
You have to
familiar with
hold the
Arviz-
mic much closer.
Hold your mic.
You guys hear me?
Hold the mic
There?
There you go.
Yeah, and lick it.
So nothing super interesting to say about this except that that's the data. I thought people might find that interesting. Probably a lot of people do software here, and you can see as he drives around.
This is Arviz?
This is Arviz. The other interesting thing, some of you may notice that this is William's computer and it's running Arviz on Windows. I ran around the room looking for a computer that was running Arviz, and William was...
Did you say it's running on Windows?
William, is this ready for people to use? Do you want to say something?
If you want to use it, you can send me an email and I'll send you a link to it, but it's not quite ready.
Man, and I thought you were an Apple fanboy.
I am. It's running on an Apple. You just do 4 fingers on the touchpad and see what's on.
New Windows.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's actually back in time.
All right, so I'll get this back to Adrian, and if you guys want to see cool stuff with Arviz, we can talk afterwards.
What's the laser in there? What's the sensor?
For these guys, for these prototypes, we're using a Hakoyu, but we're moving on to something else.
What's the downward facing sensor? At the head, the smiley.
We are using just standard, just prime sense sensors
Just
for
3D
now.
sensing, prime
Yeah.
sense was like, okay, ASICs or X
Yeah. And that's something that we've got some cool stuff going on with that.
The image there, was that all Hakoyu?
No, that was coming off of the 3D cameras that are in the head.
This 3D sensor. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Which 3D sensor? Which 3D sensor?
It's by Prime Sense. Yep.
Is that visible or IR?
It's IR. Yeah. Yeah. I guess. Well, now's as good as any other time to take some questions. So, yeah.
I mean, how does it navigate within the hotel? Do you have to pre-create a map, or does it create its own map on the way? Or?
Yeah, we currently we bring the robot in, we introduce it to the hotel, and we just go and map all the floors and mark up the maps. And after that, it's scalable, so we can put in more robots into the site. We also integrate with the elevators and telephone systems, which is pretty cool. So, like from a the mantra for us is like the user experience. So from the guest experience, it's a very seamless kind of thing where they call the front desk and ask for an item, and then the robot will call the guest elevator. We're not doing freight elevators, which opens up a whole bunch of interesting and fun things that we've seen. Kids love it, and it'll go and nestle in there with families that are crowded in the elevator too. It's pretty awesome to see. And
get stuck somewhere, we'll call the front desk for help.
yeah. We'll get the robot has a good way of pinging the support staff to make sure that things are running all right. Yeah.
How does he press the button on the elevator?
So we have a server that's installed in the hotel, and so we can wirelessly communicate with that, and that's tied into the elevator system. And that's I mean, the robot's just a part of the equation, and that was a formidable task to get that going. So many different elevators. Steve, all this integration. Savioke helps us out a lot.
I could talk about the phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually something that I'm pretty proud of because I feel like I've actually helped build a real robot now that's actually in commercial production. So it's, so like Adrian said, there's a server, and one of the functions is that when the robot gets up to the room, it calls the room phone, and the person picks up, and the robot plays back a pre-recorded message. And based on my kind of IT background in networking and telephone systems and things like that, Adrian and Steve, the Savioke team, called me up last year and said, "Hey, can you come in and help us out? And do you think this would be pretty easy to do?" And I thought about it for a second, and I was just like, "Yeah, actually, it would be." And got the prototype up in like I think less than a day. And then they kind of rocked and rolled on that until just about a couple months ago, about a month or two ago, when I helped them out with the next robot.
Where did you learn to hack elevators?
I don't know. You have to talk to these guys. The elevator. See, this is the thing. The elevator is a whole separate thing, and this is actually kind of why I really love things like this. Is because you need a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of different skill sets to get something like this to come off, and it was really just pretty awesome to have the robot. I actually got to take a tour last month when I was helping him bring a new hotel online, and to just actually kind of be in the room when the robot called the room and know that that's my code. That's actually really pretty cool. So I'm pretty chuffed about that. But it's just one part of the whole thing, and people seem to really like it. So
yeah, thanks, Steve.
One of the things I noticed is it's extremely quiet. Can you talk anything about your motor drivers?
Yeah, we went through a couple of different iterations on spending a ton of time on the drive system and making sure that that like the caster configuration and the diff drive wheels and the transmission is like super quiet, especially across all kinds of crazy terrains, because we were lucky. Our first office was kind of a worst case scenario where, where's John? We dealt with all kinds of crazy stuff. Our carpet in the office was super squishy, and kind of a worst case scenario, like heavy robots can sink into the carpet, and when they try to turn, they can get stuck, and that's really problematic. So that was a great thing for us to deal with. And also, just outside our office was really thick tile with really deep grout. So our early prototypes would just be driving down and going ka-kung, 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 and it was super loud. So we iterated and just went through a whole bunch of different caster prototypes to find the right thing. And now this guy's nice and quiet and has good hallway manners, because we don't want to piss off any guests that from a noisy robot. So yeah.
How many hotels has it been in?
We're installed in 2 right now, and we're going to be going into more soon, which we're really excited about. So yeah, so if you right now you can go to the Aloft in Cupertino, and you can see the rebranded Savvy one is Butler sitting over in the lobby, and he's ready to do deliveries. And if you ask the staff nicely, they'll even show you a little demo in the lobby if you want to see it yourself. But you can come by and check it out later, and we can introduce the cool robots to each other.
So do you have any gyros or anything to stabilize it? Or?
Fortunately, no. We don't need. We've engineered the center of mass to be just right, and we have payload requirements. So we're not going to put like 3 cinder blocks in this thing and drive it around. But we have this optimized. Yeah, bowling balls. We have it optimized to be stable, and we paid a lot of attention to like ADA compliance and all the cases that can happen on ramps and stuff. So fortunately, no gyros, because we're trying to make this robot to be as affordable as possible. So cost and features are a big consideration with all this.
But does it have tilt sensing? I mean, it must have.
Yeah, we have an IMU in there. Yeah.
When it goes into the elevator, how does it press the button?
So it wirelessly communicates with a server that's in the elevator room, and it's able to virtually press a button. So if you're at the hotel and you're waiting for the elevator, and the robot's also on a delivery, and he comes up beside you, before you've touched the button, he might go and actually light up the button wirelessly. It's kind of like telepathy, which is kind of cool.
What sorcery is this?
Kurt Myers.
You have a charging dock?
Yeah, we're actually working on it. Docks are, there's some other robotics startup-y people here. And I'm sure know that docks they're further in the pipeline than other stuff. So.
Right now it's hands shaking.
There's a whole bunch of hands going up now. Maybe it's all about dogs, hopefully not.
What will you do about older elevator systems that aren't wireless? Are you planning on some sort of solution?
Yeah, we have a bipedal version of this robot that we're working on. No, I'm totally joking. No way. Older elevators, we can do them. We have a way to integrate with a pretty wide array of elevators. So yeah, old ones are actually not the worst thing in the world. It's when you think they're running on like a low voltage system, but they're actually a high voltage system and people get burned. That's when it gets a little interesting.
So did you, framework there, did you consider food delivery type?
Yeah. There's a feature here where, so when the lid closes, there's a lock that engages, and it's kind of cool. It sounds almost like a camera shutter, which is kind of neat. And so that prevents people from tampering with the lid and trying to get into the robot. And that's an important feature for food delivery that we want to keep secure, and eventually doing like healthcare related deliveries where we really need a lot more security. So yeah, but food delivery is something that we love, that application. Being able to like get up in the morning and get on your phone and order a burrito to your room, and the robot calls you and you open the door and it's there.
I think a hospital would be a natural with this kind of thing too.
Yeah, that's an exciting domain that we're continually doing research. Where with these guys we've been bringing out to different sites and learning as much as we can, and in the next couple of months we'll have an announcement. We're going to open up a new program to expand what we're doing. So all that stuff is in the pipeline.
Can you open the lid?
Yeah. So it's kind of neat. You guys can come by and check it out later on. But the inside we kind of designed to almost function like a jewelry case. So when the lid is open, the items are laid in there really nicely, and they're positioned just right. So imagine this is like a can of Coke. It's in there and it's facing the user in a nicely presented way. We have an LED strip that's inside, so it illuminates everything really nicely. The bottom of the bin is a light color, so there's high contrast to the items that are in it, so people who have visual disabilities can make out what's in there more easily.
Does this one have the double tray?
Oh no, we have a couple of versions of the bin that's in here. This is our shallow version for just moving small items around, but we also have one that takes up almost the whole capacity of the robot, so we can fit much larger items in here. We have about 2 cubic feet of cargo area in here that we can take advantage of.
Are you guys looking at kits for custom applications, like a base and navigation, or is it right now just all one unit?
Yeah, right now it's all one unit. We're really focused on just trying to get our fledgling company on its feet and get the market proved. And once we can pass some major milestones, we definitely want to keep all options on the table.
Like the adept base kits you can buy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Or whoever.
Oh, sorry. Oh yeah. Have you thought about like larger, heavier kind of weights? Like if you were to attach some sort of thing like at the back, like a trolley, you could do luggage, like that sort of thing. Or?
Yeah. That's a good piece of feedback that we hear a lot is, could you hook up something to it? Unfortunately, it's a really tough problem to solve. John, I'm sure, could gripe about trying to tow stuff around with our robot. But our robot, the reason why it's cylindrical at the base is that's kind of like a degree of freedom for the head to turn. So we didn't have to deal with having a degree of freedom at the top. It's intrinsic in the base. And so because of that, our navigation is set up for this type of layout. So we can't, we can't put backpacks on the robot because it may not know that the backpack is there, and towing stuff around. That's something we're thinking about, but it's not. This guy won't do it right now. I think he'd be pretty reluctant to try it.
How long does it run on a charge?
It'll do roughly 3 hours continuous, but we charge pretty fast. So when we are doing heavy duty cycles, it'll stay charged 24/7. So it charges twice as fast as it expends battery. So.
What kind of computer do you use?
It's an i7 that we've got in there, and there's a couple other subsystems in there as well. But yeah, ROS and Ubuntu and some secret sauce in there that John and the nav team have put together.
Yeah, you mentioned a active bumper. Is it just a switch that stops everything, or does it recover on its own, or do you need to reset it? Or?
No, it'll recover on its own. So if I tap the bumper, he'll scooch back just a little bit to clear the obstacle that was in the way, and he'll just keep going. So, yeah.
How many wheels does it have, and how is it rated?
It's a diff drive system, so it's got drive wheels on the other side and casters in front and back. Pretty straightforward system, and there's suspension in there. So I'm always maintaining ground contact, especially going over like thresholds and going on and off of ramps.
Going full speed, stopping short, or not to go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen
he's
that.
pretty tough. Yeah. And yeah.
Prices, anything?
We haven't announced pricing yet, but we're a service-based model. I can say that.
Yeah, is there any type of emergency stop or any issues with that, or?
Yeah, we
stand up and show them.
Yeah, we have an e-stop with us now, and we've gone to great lengths dealing with the safety-related stuff. And right now we have a very soft version of an e-stop where if you tap the screen, it'll pause the robot. So if just say someone's curious about the robot in the hallway of a hotel, they can tap the screen and the robot will just display a message saying how can I help them, and then he'll get back on his way.
I think that one of your most interesting things to try to outthink is people like us running into one of these are going to want to poke them.
Yeah.
And little kids
Totally.
who play video games are going to be attracted to that screen like magnet.
Yeah, totally. And we have a passcode layer.
Huggers.
Huggers,
Kids
yeah.
hugging the robot.
Yep, people love to hug the robot, which is great. And but yeah, there's a passcode layer that keeps the curious people out. And we're always working on we're trying to work out more convenient ways than a passcode.
Oh, it'll be a continuing venture.
Yeah, yeah. As we all know. Yeah.
Have you had people like in the hotel come up and hug you?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because most of the
kids
stuff I've
walk
done
with
has
it,
been
and
on the
it's
other
so
side of
adorable
the
to see.
SSH connection.
Yeah,
So
like
it's fun to see this.
yeah. In our earlier testing, when we would chaperone the robot, it was doing autonomous deliveries, but we were doing supervised deliveries while we were doing all our safety testing and all this stuff. And so you always get a chance to see kids walking with the robot, and it's totally adorable. And then when the door opens, the excitement that people get when they open, like, oh my God, it's the robot, and they get their phones out and take videos and put them on YouTube and Facebook and stuff.
Any publicity is good.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully it's for the right reasons. Yeah.
Can you talk to it?
No, not yet. No, not for a long time, I think.
Okay.
The user interface, we really tried to constrain it to meet the expectations of us, right? So he has just very basic eyes that we had help with this Pixar animator, Doug Dooley, who's awesome, helped us devise this, and we're working on new versions of it. And basically he has no mouth, no detailed features, just trying to be as iconic as we can with the with the head and what's being displayed. So the interface is something that we're really happy with. Basically, like how it's divided is there's a big informational portion on the top half, and that's one of our design goals, is to always be disclosing what the robot's doing. So right now he's saying he's ready to deliver. And when he's doing a delivery, he says he's doing a delivery, and so on and so on. When he's getting into the elevator, he says, pardon me, I'm entering the elevator, I'm going to floor 2. And so it's basically like a speech bubble for the robot. And so if you're walking down, like we have like a 15-foot UI policy, so like we try to design all our stuff to be readable from about 10 to 15 feet away. And then the eyes are for just the expressiveness and to work on the emotional side of things, because it really takes the guests to help make this robot work, right? Like they could just stand in front of it and really muck with it, but by developing this emotional connection to the robot, that actually is a good facilitator for helping generate empathy, and people want to see the robot succeed. And
it also does have audio cues too.
Yeah, and we have a lot of tones. You heard that in the video. There's a lot of like really cute audio cues that go on. He always says when he's about to start and when he's start moving and when he's about to stop moving. That's for safety and just part of the interaction, and also just like guiding people through the experience. These little cute audio cues just to keep their attention going. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Short story. Nolan Bushnell, who did Chuck E. Cheese and Atari, is really into robots, and he just took a contract with Domino Pizza to do a robot, and it was a delivery robot.
Nice.
Okay, and Domino's, I think, is based in like Detroit or something, somewhere, some big city in the Midwest, and Domino said, we want to do the demo here. So they showed up with the robot. They're doing their thing, and by the end of the night, somebody had picked the robot up and walked off with it. I bet you haven't thought about that yet.
He does weigh 110 pounds. So it's
okay, so it's a thought.
That's scary. Yeah.
Put me down. Okay. With that, what we're going to do is we're going to shut down the presentation portion of it. Come on up and talk and visit with this robot. And around 10 o'clock, we're going to shoo everybody out. I'm going to put a chair in front of the door. And please drop your badges in there, okay, so that we can reuse them for the next meeting, okay? And other than that, please have a good time and come on back next time. Thank you.